I know I've been on a bit of an uploading spree lately. Well, at least I think I've been on an uploading spree lately, but I still have some new stuff I still want to cover and talk about. Especially because From Software's next biggest game, Elden Ring NightReign, is literally just around the corner. We are like, I think 2 weeks from the game's launch now, at least by the time of the recording of this video. I believe we are 2 weeks from the game's launch now. Around 2 months ago, I made a video talking about Elden Ring NightReign, and I talked a little bit about what's going to be in the game. I gave a tad bit of a breakdown of what's coming to the game. Some people were worried, some people are excited, and I'm going to be honest, I am excited for this game too, but I am also a little bit worried. Now, I know I've said before when it came to From Software games that I'm not really too worried because they usually nailed them. But of course, with the way that I guess they're handling Elden Ring NightReign, I am going to be a little bit worried. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still excited for Elden Ring NightReign, and I'm still pretty excited, and I'm still looking forward to playing FromSoft's next biggest game. But also, I am pretty worried for this game as well. Now, in my last video, I was talking about how Gears of War Reloaded worries me and how I expressed my worries and my thoughts and opinions on how I was worried in my last video for Gears of War Reloaded, and I'm going to be doing the same thing here for Elden Ring NightReign as well. Now, one thing is for certain, we all know for a fact that this takes place in the Elden Ring universe. I don't want to say that it's a spin off of Elden Ring or it's a different variation, but I mean, obviously, it's going to take place in the same world as Elden Ring, but of course, there's going to be some different things involved in this game. We know for a fact that this game is going to have seamless co op, the one thing that everybody has been wanting in all Souls like games. Especially because seamless co op is way better and you can experience the game with your friends much better in that format of co op. Now, is the multiplayer going to be the same way as the original? Meaning, like, oh, hey, before we join our friends, we need to set like a password and we need to do a group password and we need to be a certain exact level. And if we're like 10 levels higher than the original, then we're going to need to reset or we're going to need to wait. If we're going to have a complicated multiplayer system like we do in the previous Souls likes, where you're going to need to get a group password and then you got to do a different group password and you got to do another password just to play with your friends, like, I'm sorry, but the way that From Software has designed their multiplayer in previous Souls like games has been way too complicated, at least for my personal experience. I rather play the game solo than co-op if they're going to do it in a complicated format. Say what you will about Souls-like games like Neo 2, but at least Neo 2 had a much better multiplayer system where you just create a room and then you create a room password and then you can play with a random friend of yours and you can play the game that way. So it makes me think, is Elden Ring NightReign gonna have a similar multiplayer system to Neo 2 where you gotta create a room and then set a room password? Or is it just gonna be, oh hey, you just join online regardless if you launch the game in online, or if you're playing the game in single player, you launch the game offline so you can play by yourself. So I'm not sure how the multiplayer is gonna work. That is a big worry for me in this game because multiplayer in Elden Ring Night Rain is definitely recommended. Like, if you play this game by yourself, I mean, good luck. I mean, it is going to be very tough, but the game is supposed to be surrounded in co-op and the game is meant to be played in co-op because that's the whole marketing and that's the whole point of playing Elden Ring Night Rain. Now, I could be completely wrong about this next part, but Elden Ring NightReign, it's not being led by Miyazaki himself. It's being led by a different person, and it's being led by a different group of developers over at From Software. So I apologize in advance if I pronounce this name wrong, but the person that's leading the role of Elden Ring NightReign is Junya Ishizaki. At least I hope I said the name right. I apologize if I pronounced it wrong. But like I said, Miyazaki, he's not leading the direction of Elden Ring NightReign. It's being led by Junya Ishizaki, and it's being developed by a different group at From Software. So some people are definitely a bit skeptical, like, oh, Miyazaki's not leading this game, and they're not working on this game. They're working on a different game entirely over there. So people are a bit worried, but they're also pretty excited to see what's going to happen with this game. So, one of the biggest things that I'm really worried about for Elden Ring NightReign is that it's going to have some roguelike mechanics thrown into the game. Now, if you played games like Risk of Rain 2, or if you played games like Cult of the Lamb, you would know how the roguelike mechanics work in those games. So, Elden Ring NightReign, there's definitely going to be some roguelike mechanics thrown in there too. Now, me personally, I'm not a massive fan of Souls-like games. I don't mind playing them every once in a while. I mean, I do gotta be in a certain mood to play them. I mean, like the gameplay you're seeing on screen, for example, is a Souls-like game. Kazan the First Berserker. I've been having a lot of fun playing this Souls-like game, and I've beaten the game already, and I still got a lot of gameplay footage I want to show because I've been having a lot of fun with this game. But of course, I'm getting off track and I'm digressing. Elden Ring NightReign having roguelike mechanics. Now, usually that's going to be a recipe for disaster depending on what kind of person you are, and depending on if you like Souls like games or if you hate them, and depending on if you like games with roguelike mechanics or not. Usually, a Souls like game getting a mix of roguelike mechanics thrown in there, that should be a recipe for disaster depending on how the mechanics are handled. So, depending on how From Software handles this roguelike mechanic for Elden Ring NightReign, it can either go very well or it can go very poorly. And of course, you gotta keep this in mind too, because Souls-like games are meant to be challenging. And believe it or not, roguelike games are meant to be challenging too, depending on what kind of roguelike game you're playing and depending on what difficulty for the roguelike you're playing. I mean, if you're playing like a Dark Souls game, it's obviously going to be set on the hardest difficulty in the game. But if you're playing like a game like Cult of the Lamb, for example, a roguelike game, you can obviously modify the difficulty and change the game to your liking. But even then, like you're still going to have roguelike mechanics thrown in there at you. Now, of course, with all those concerns being said, I mean, there might be someone in the comments section that will try to tell me, well, Nightwing, this is being made by From Software. You gotta have a little bit more confidence, buddy. They're gonna nail this game. And to your point, I would agree. I think From Software is gonna do good with this game. I think they're gonna really do a good job with it. But of course, we've seen massive AAA studios like Fallen from Grace, and we've seen AAA studios butcher massive anticipated games. CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, that was one of the most anticipated games throughout the whole gaming industry, and CD Projekt Red butchered that game's launch so hard. Even companies like Sony that had released games like Conquered that was so terrible, that game only lasted 2 weeks before it ended up getting shut down permanently, so no one can ever play that game. So we've seen massive failures from massive companies. As excited as I really am for Elden Ring NightReign, I am also pretty worried. So I am trying to remain optimistic and I'm trying to remain cautious going forward. I am excited for this game, don't get me wrong, but I am a little bit worried that From Software might drop the ball. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but only time will tell. So with this being said, thank you everyone for watching and for listening. And until next time, I'm talking about how Elden Ring NightReign worries me, and I will see you all later.